Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days and 5 minutes. Tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, another widespread severe weather outbreak. This time from the Mississippi Valley and across much of the Tennessee and Ohio Valley, and even some isolated severe thunderstorm possible along the East Coast. We'll talk about that and the upcoming weekend tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So here we are on a Wednesday afternoon where we are already seeing tornado watches and severe thunderstorm watches up for parts of Missouri, southern Illinois, into Kentucky, as well as Tennessee, and over into western North Carolina. Flood watches are surrounding that for heavy rain. We've got winter storm warnings up for parts of northwest Wyoming and into western Montana, even a county under a blizzard warning there. And it's all part of this large amorphous storm system that is reforming in the Ohio Valley today, and we're in the Mississippi and Ohio Valley, and we're going to take a look at that momentarily. Meanwhile, on the satellite loop, we had showers and thunderstorms move through this morning in the Northeast thanks to a warm front that has now passed, and we've broken out into some sunshine, and temperatures are zooming up into the 80s. Meanwhile, as of 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, you can see the outbreak of some severe thunderstorms, lightning strikes all over the place across parts of eastern Missouri, southern Illinois, and then through Tennessee and into western North Carolina. And that's all pretty evident here on the radar as we take a look, seeing numerous severe thunderstorm warnings, flash flood warnings, and even a couple of tornado warnings popping up in the red box that you see there in eastern Missouri, south of St. Louis. And there's going to be more as we move into the late afternoon and evening hours. Meanwhile, in the Northeast, the storms that move through eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, those are now weaker and up into Maine, where they're getting some rainfall there, and the warm front pushing further north. And here's what's going on up in the northern Rockies, where we've got mountain snows and valley rains, and in some places the precipitation is quite heavy. This is the second consecutive day where the Storm Prediction Center has put up a moderate risk of severe weather, and that extends from southern Missouri southeastward into Tennessee and Kentucky. A very large area of enhanced risk that goes back to eastern Oklahoma and northeast Texas, runs across northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, northern Georgia, northern South Carolina, western North Carolina, then back up into southern Indiana, southern Illinois, and the rest of southern Missouri. We have marginal risk here for the most of the Northeast, except for northern New England, down into Virginia, and then west across the northern Ohio Valley, lower Great Lakes, and over back into the upper Mississippi Valley. So this area is going to see perhaps isolated severe thunderstorms, and the tornado risk is high, 5 to 10% in the enhanced zone. That moderate zone's got the 10%, and the hatched area indicates that we have risk for EF2 to EF5 tornadoes. A small area of marginal risk is indicated for Massachusetts, as well as for Iowa, southern Minnesota, and southeastern North Dakota. Now, for Thursday, as we set up with low pressure that is going to pass by to the south of Philadelphia and New York City. So from there south, this is where the risk is setting up. Southern New Jersey on the edge of marginal risk. And then we've got a large area of slight risk from the Delmarva Peninsula down to Georgia, and then west across the lower Gulf states with an area of enhanced risk centered in north central Texas, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we'll see whether this winds up getting extended. Maybe another little area of enhanced risk will go up in parts of the southeast for tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see on that. And as far as rainfall is concerned over the next 7 days, areas of a half to three-quarters of an inch from New England down into the Appalachians, and then west across the northern Ohio Valley into the upper Mississippi Valley. Big rains of several inches possible from southern Kentucky and much of northern and eastern Tennessee. Also, central and southern Georgia into coastal South Carolina, west across the lower Gulf states, and back into Texas. And still some healthy precip amounts of an additional three-quarters of an inch to an inch and a half melted in parts of Wyoming and Montana, and also extending down into parts of Colorado. So we've got a new low that is developing in eastern Missouri late this afternoon and this evening. This is the trigger mechanism for the severe weather that we are seeing for this evening and tonight. Meanwhile, low pressure moves off the coast of Maine, and we've got a high from Canada that's nosing in between those two. That's going to force this low to track more to the east rather than move up to the north. The surface low runs from southern Illinois down into southern West Virginia, and that's going to start to set us up in a more of a doom and gloom type pattern for the Northeast and Northern Mid Atlantic states for later Thursday, and particularly for Thursday night, Friday into Friday night. We're going to have some rain coming in. Severe weather is going to be south of the low track, which moves off the Virginia coast sometime Thursday evening. We're going to have an onshore flow here. So increasing clouds from 80s today to uppers to mostly 60s tomorrow, and then probably mostly 50s on Friday with an ocean wind and some on and off rain. Another low is going to develop in eastern Virginia on Friday, and that's going to move off the coast. We could actually see a gusty northwest wind for coastal areas Friday night into Saturday morning. Then the low pulls away, will dry out during the day on Saturday, but there still could be some lingering scattered showers around Saturday afternoon and evening. And then another upper trough comes through Saturday night, lingering into Sunday afternoon, where we could see the chance for some showers and maybe one or two thunderstorms. Finally, by Monday, we catch a break for the start of next week, but ready for another weather system that's probably going to come in toward the Tuesday into Wednesday. So obviously, we are in a very busy weather pattern once again. We'll cover this all tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time.